It's July 11th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with the stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the 75th NATO Summit in Washington, D.C. President Yoon is holding a series of bilateral summits with NATO leaders, including ones with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and leaders of Germany and Canada. They all voiced concerns over North Korea and Russia's snowballing military cooperation that they warned would be dealt with sternly by the international community. And NATO leaders issued a joint communique in its most serious rebuke against China, saying Beijing is a decisive enabler of Russia's war against Ukraine. They then urged China to act responsibly in space as well as in cyberspace. Samsung Electronics revealed its latest foldable phones that are lighter, slimmer, and upgraded with AI tools. Its first ever Galaxy Ring that can measure your heartbeat and analyze the quality of your sleep was also showcased. President Yoon landed in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday to attend the NATO Summit for the third consecutive year. As the first South Korean leader to be invited to the security meeting of 32 member countries. But before he attends the session for invited countries and a separate session with 3 other Indo-Pacific countries on Thursday, President Yoon held back-to-back meetings with NATO member countries and Japan. We connect with our Oh Soo-young, who's over in D.C. Hello, Soo-young.
Hi, Tami.
So it seems like President Yoon hit the ground running in D.C., meeting the leaders of NATO member countries and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Tell us more.
Yes, it's been a really busy day for President Yoon as soon as he landed here in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. President Yoon so far has met with 7 heads of government on Wednesday on the sidelines of the NATO summit, including the leaders of Germany, Canada, the Netherlands, Sweden, Czech Republic, Finland and Japan. Of course, among those summits, President Yoon's meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida really stood out, marking the second time that they've met this year and their 11th summit since President Yoon's inauguration, in light of North Korea's growing nuclear and missile provocations. Now, amid Pyongyang's recent treaty with Moscow to aid each other militarily in the face of aggression, Yoon and Kishida agreed to work closely together with like-minded countries to counter the collaboration. The South Korean leader said that the recent developments between Russia and North Korea highlights the importance of the Camp David trilateral cooperation system reached between South Korea, the United States and Japan last year. Kishida agreed that the security of the North Atlantic and Northeast Asia cannot be separated, emphasizing the importance of solidarity. Of course, the Russia-North Korea axis was very much a central theme in Yoon's discussions with leaders of NATO member countries as well. They all recognize that the Indo-Pacific and the transatlantic regions are no longer separate strategic spheres of security interest. The leaders all expressed grave concern over the treaty between Russia and North Korea to strengthen their mutual military and economic cooperation amid continued provocations by North Korea and, of course, the prolonged war in Ukraine. They agreed to firmly address the Russian-North Korea military cooperation, which, of course, they pointed out violates United Nations Security Council resolutions in solidarity with the international community. Now, to get into the specifics of President Yoon's bilaterals, the Netherlands in particular agreed to work closely with South Korea on denuclearizing North Korea, as well as countering Pyongyang's cooperation with Moscow. Meanwhile, Germany expressed its intention to join the United Nations Command, which has a presence on the Korean Peninsula, of course. And President Yoon welcomed this move, deeming it a demonstration of Germany's commitment to upholding a rules-based international order and contributing to peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. With Canadian PM Justin Trudeau, Yoon said he particularly looked forward to further institutionalizing and developing bilateral security cooperation through their 2+2 foreign and defense high-level meetings, which really indicates a strong level of trust and cooperation between the two like-minded countries for global and regional security as well in the Indo-Pacific. A presidential official told South Korean reporters on Wednesday that the Indo-Pacific countries, when they convene tomorrow and also issue a statement on the Russia-North Korea collaboration, they're going to be very specific about their solidarity there, and they may also present ways to institutionalize their cooperation with NATO.
Right. On top of that, economic cooperation was another, central theme of President Yoon's summit. Tell us more.
That's right. So leading up to this summit, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, along with some other diplomatic experts, indicated that member states of NATO are seeking practical cooperation with South Korea to first boost their defense industry capacity, as well as their economic security interests, given South Korea's diverse high-tech capabilities. Now, according to Yoon's Principal Deputy National Security Advisor, Kim Tae-ho, President Yoon engaged in discussions about economic cooperation with the leaders of Germany, the Netherlands, Canada, Sweden, and the Czech Republic, as well as Finland, countries which he pointed out are major trading partners to South Korea, as well as technological leaders in Europe and North America. President Yoon discussed ways to promote practical cooperation in various fields, including nuclear power and the defense industry, infrastructure and supply chains. He discussed nuclear energy cooperation with 4 countries, which were the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, Finland and Sweden, as they aim to diversify their energy sources and also aim for carbon neutrality. President Yoon also discussed critical mineral supplies, space and defense with Sweden, as well as South Korea's semiconductor alliance that was forged with the Netherlands last year. The leaders there discussed the achievements seen so far between their companies in joint research and people-to-people exchanges. With the leaders of Germany and Finland, defense cooperation was of common interest. And well, as all of these strategic technologies and industries depend on high levels of trust and common values as well, I suppose there's growing demand for South Korea's partnership on various fronts, economically and technologically as well.
One packed day for President Yoon and a lot more to come for him. Do keep us posted, Yoon. Thank you so much for the report.
Thanks for having me, Tammy.
And we're well into day 2 of the NATO summit. Member heads of state spent the first 2 days seeking to boost alliance's support for Ukraine and to call out on North Korea and Russia for their risky military cooperation. VOA correspondent Chris Keskoy joins us live from D.C. with us for more. Welcome back, Chris.
Good to be with you.
All right, Chris, walk us through the day 1 and 2 and also the Washington Declaration.
Yes, let's start with that joint communique or statement from the NATO alliance, the 32 members in the NATO alliance. They condemn North Korea and Iran for fueling Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine by providing direct military support to Russia, such as munitions and uncrewed aerial vehicles. It also went on to strongly condemn North Korea's exports of artillery cells and ballistic missiles, which are in violation of numerous United Nations Security Council resolutions. And the statement also notes with great concern the deepening ties between North Korea and Russia. NATO Secretary General went on to call China a decisive enabler of Russia's war effort in Ukraine and said Beijing continues to pose systematic challenges to Euro-Atlantic security. And Stoltenberg specifically cited the dual-use technology, the military technology that allows Russia to control its weapons and build its weapons. Stoltenberg also said that South Korea will strengthen its cooperation with NATO in various areas, including defense and intelligence. He pointed out that the use of weapons provided by North Korea in the war in Ukraine is an example of how security in Europe and Asia is now interconnected. And finally, Stoltenberg said Ukraine is on an irreversible path to NATO membership, but added that it will not happen until the war with Russia has ended.
So lots of global security challenges were brought up. Now, Chris, what other some of the day's key developments? Tell us more.
Right. There were some other military developments. The first batch of U.S.-built F-16 fighter jets is already being transferred to Ukraine from Denmark and the Netherlands and will be flying over Ukraine this summer, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said at an event on the sidelines of the NATO summit. Now, Ukraine has long wanted F-16s because of their destructive power and easy global availability. The fighter jet is equipped with 20-millimeter cannons and it can carry bombs, rockets, and missiles. The United States also announced that it will start deploying long-range fire capabilities in Germany in an effort to demonstrate its commitment to NATO and European defense, the U.S. and Germany said in a joint statement earlier today. And then to cap off the evening, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are hosting a dinner right now for the heads of state and government and their spouses. Nami?
Well, Chris, speaking of Biden, U.S. President Joe Biden did return to the world stage for the first time since his, controversial debate with former President Donald Trump last week. What is the latest on the Democrats and whether they think, Biden still should continue his, election campaign?
Well, powerful and influential former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi weighed in, and she said it's up to the president to decide whether he wants to stay in the race instead of saying that he should stay in the race, which some observers noted that because of her powerful position as the former House Speaker and her closeness to Biden in both age and the fact that she's one of his trusted allies, that she's seen as one of the few Democratic leaders that can influence him one way or the other. Thus far, 8 House Democrats have said the president should bow out. So far, no Senate Democrats have said that he should bow out, and he will face his next public test tomorrow here at NATO, Thursday evening, when he gives another speech, but he does his first solo press conference in months. Dami?
Pressure is indeed mounting on Biden. Now, Chris, Thursday tomorrow is the final day of the NATO summit. What is left on the agenda?
Well, NATO's member leaders are meeting with the Indo-Pacific partners, the IP4, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand in the morning. And then early in the afternoon, NATO's Ukraine will meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky. And then finally, Biden will have that press conference, and it's scheduled to begin at 5:30 p.m. DC time. So there's still a lot going on tomorrow, even though the joint statement from the NATO alliance came out today.
All right, Chris, thanks for the report again today. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
The torrential downpours that swept the country's central and southern regions have left 5 people dead and 1 person missing. Thousands of people had to evacuate, with many of them still not being able to return home. Yoon has the latest.
5 people have died and 1 person is reported missing from intense downpours in the central and southern regions of South Korea. Torrential rain struck in the early hours of Wednesday, flooding homes and leaving residents stranded. In Chungcheongnam-do province, roads were flooded and 1 person died in the elevator of a building that had flooded up to the first basement level. As rainfall exceeding 110 millimeters per hour was recorded in the central province, 2 more deaths were caused by landslides. Kunsan City in Jeollabuk-do province saw the highest amount of rainfall recorded, as rain there poured down at a rate of more than 130 millimeters per hour.
문제가 아니라 동남아가 엄청 큰 것까지 같이 내려와.
The Meteorological Administration described the overnight rainfall as a record-breaking downpour that occurs once every 200 years.
물이 차가지고 어떻게 엄두가 안 나갖고 이 이불을 내가 얼른 올려놨지요. 올려놓고 전기를 다 내렸어요. 무서워서.
According to the government, hundreds of homes were damaged and more than 4,000 residents were evacuated nationwide. As the monsoon season continues, the government has stated its commitment to closely monitoring weather conditions and minimizing human casualties. Yoon, Arirang News.
South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics unveiled its first ever AI foldable smartphone series during its Unpacked event held in Paris on Wednesday. Now, the 2024 Unpacked also includes a Galaxy Ring and Galaxy Watch series. Park Kwon-woo tells us more.
Samsung Electronics unpacked its slimmest and lightest foldable smartphone series, the Galaxy Z Flip 6 and Fold 6, in Paris on Wednesday with added AI features.
Because life-enhancing innovations should be open to all, we've been putting Galaxy AI into the hands of more people around the world. Galaxy AI will be available on 200 million Galaxy devices this year.
AI functions are now available on Samsung's foldable series for the first time and are even stronger than those on the Galaxy 24 series, the company's first AI smartphone, released at the beginning of this year. Samsung's foldable phones now provide real-time AI translation for 16 different languages during phone calls on third-party messaging apps including KakaoTalk and WhatsApp, and during everyday conversations. The AI technology can even create more sophisticated artwork from simple sketches done on your phone. With stronger durability and a design that reduces creases on the screen when folded, pricing for the Galaxy Z Flip 6 starts at $1,099. The base model Fold 6 will cost $1,899. Also on Wednesday, the Seoul-based tech giant unveiled its Galaxy Ring. The lightweight Galaxy Ring, weighing around 3 grams, allows people to measure and record sleeping patterns, heart rate, and respiration rate. It can be worn daily for a full week on a single charge. The price starts from $399. Other products, including the latest series of the Galaxy Watch and Galaxy Buds, were also revealed at the event. The official release date for all of the products is July 24th. 박건우, Arirang News.
U.S. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said Wednesday that the central bank will cut rates when and as they are needed. Powell made the comments at a House of Financial Services Committee hearing that amid comments that a September rate cut could be seen as a political act ahead of the November presidential election. The Fed chair stressed that the rate cut decisions are made by analyzing data and the evolving outlook and the balance of risks, not other factors. Meanwhile, Powell said while he believes inflation is receding, he isn't yet confident that the price gains are slowing to the U.S. Fed's target of 2%. He added that more good data would raise the central bank's confidence in reaching the target inflation. And the S&P 500 and the tech-heavy Nasdaq continue to reach to record highs on Wall Street. Wednesday's record closing comes after strong trading on so-called Magnificent Seven stocks and the prospect of a rate cut. Lee Seung-jae has more.
With market expectations rising over the prospect of the U.S. Federal Reserve making a rate cut come September, Wall Street on Wednesday responded positively. The S&P 500 saw its index close above the 5,600 level for the first time ever, closing its trading session at 5,633.91, up 56.93 points, or 1.02% from the previous day. The index, which tracks the stock performance of 500 of the largest companies listed on Wall Street, continued its strong momentum as it surpassed the 5,600 mark just 6 trading sessions after it surpassed the 5,500 mark for the first time. The tech-heavy Nasdaq also continued its hot streak, soaring 218.16 points, or 1.18%, to reach yet another all-time high closing figure of 18,647.45. Wednesday's record figures come as the Consumer Price Index for June is set to be released on Thursday, while the Producer Price Index will be announced on Friday. Wall Street's positive run also came thanks to gains from the so-called Magnificent Seven stocks, 7 of the biggest performing tech stocks in the U.S. Apple closed 1.88% higher at $232.98 as buyers outnumbered sellers for 7 straight trading sessions. Chip giant Nvidia climbed 2.69% to close at $134.86, while Tesla extended its gains for the 11th straight trading session. The Magnificent Seven stocks accounted for more than half the S&P 500's gain in 2023, as it looks to continue that momentum this year. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Si-young, and this is The World Now. Ahead of the November U.S. presidential election, President Joe Biden's allies, the former House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi and celebrity financial donor George Clooney, have cast doubt on his re-election bid. Pelosi held back from showing a confident voice of support for Biden in an interview on MSNBC's Morning Joe on Wednesday, saying that it's up to the president to decide if he's going to run. She indicated that she couldn't say whether Biden has the endorsement of her fellow congressional Democrats, avoiding a direct answer by saying people want him to make the decision, not me. Hollywood actor George Clooney went a step further and called on Biden to drop out of the presidential race. The Oscar winner, in a guest article published in the New York Times on Wednesday, said that while he's a lifelong Democrat and loves Joe Biden, the one battle he cannot win is a fight against time. Clooney stressed that the 81-year-old Biden's age cannot be reversed and that we're not going to win in November with this president. Police in London on Wednesday captured a man suspected of killing the wife and 2 daughters of a well-known BBC radio commentator in a targeted attack. According to Hertfordshire Police, 26-year-old suspect Kyle Clifford was found close to his home in North London's Enfield area and is receiving medical treatment for unexplained injuries. Police say no shots were fired during the arrest. On Tuesday evening, BBC racing commentator John Hunt's 61-year-old wife and daughters, aged 25 and 28, were found seriously injured at a home in Bushey, Hertfordshire. They were pronounced dead shortly afterwards, having sustained injuries from a crossbow, sparking a massive police manhunt. Estonian athlete Jaan Roose made history as the first person to cross Italy's Strait of Messina on foot. He completed the 3.6-kilometer journey between the Italian mainland and the island of Sicily by walking along a slackline high above the ocean waters on Wednesday. Roose started the stunt from a 265-meter high tower in Santa Trada before walking a distance longer than 30 football fields on a piece of webbed slackline fabric only 1.9 centimeters wide. He took some 15,000 steps to reach the other side of the slackline, but unfortunately, with just 80 meters left from the finishing point, the athlete fell off the slackline, meaning his effort could not be verified, and thus he failed to set a new world record. A Czech zoo has welcomed the birth of a baby Chinese pangolin, a critically endangered species native to Southeast Asia and southern China. Prague zookeeper David Vala said that the new female baby is only the second of the species to have been successfully bred in captivity in Europe, both born in the same zoo. According to the World Wildlife Fund, all species of pangolins are under threat from poachers for their characteristic scales, which can be used in traditional medicine as well as for decorations. A 2020 study showed that only around 10,000 of the species were left in mainland China.
Good morning. Monsoon rain takes a break on the mainland today, but you'll still need to keep an umbrella handy as there will be passing rain. It could pour down once it starts to rain. Meanwhile, Jeju Island will see monsoon rain through tomorrow with up to 80 millimeters in the forecast. The heat advisory remains in place for the capital, parts of Gyeonggi-do and Gangwon-do provinces. Skies could turn cloudy or sunny like yesterday with sudden showers, so please brace for weather swings with very high humidity. Feels like temperatures will be higher than what the thermometer shows. Seoul gets up to 31 degrees, Chuncheon at 32 degrees under sunnier skies this afternoon. Then we are looking at a chance of monsoon rain on Jeju Island through early next week, while central regions will see passing rain instead. It's essential to take good care and protect yourselves from foodborne illness around this time. Remember, food safety is a must. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day and Arirang. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time. Until then, goodbye.